So we've got an awesome guest today. So Mo is one of our interns inside the Joy of Coding Academy. So if you don't know, the Joy of Coding Academy helps problem solvers become six-figure software developers in 6 months. And we offer guaranteed internship experiences because we know that hands-on experience of actually building and delivering software that works to a client who's paying us for it is how you get those six-figure jobs, because you're already doing the work of a six-figure software developer. And so Mo is coming to us, and he's in a really unique position because Mo is actually a computer science student at Drew University, which I just retired from. And so I really work to support my students however they come into my sphere. And so I offered Mo an opportunity as an intern this summer, and we're so grateful that he took us up on that. But he has this really unique perspective of, even if you're in a university setting working on delivering software to actual clients, because that's how I ran it at the university, he's still getting an experience he would have never gotten in the university setting, no matter how much the professor is pushing the students to get out there and do real world things. That's just something different when there's money exchange in hands. And so we had a huge breakthrough this week. I'm not going to steal Mo's story, but there was an amazing breakthrough this week. And I just wanted to share it all so you guys can see what it's like to be in an internship, inside the Joy of Coding Academy, and what that experience can look like.
I was primarily a front-end developer. Never touched anything besides UI, user interface, and website design, stuff like that. And I got the really nice experience when I got the push from Dr. Hill to, can you please integrate Stripe for me and work as a full stack developer? I did in fact work as a full stack developer.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Mo. And just to kind of help everybody see, for those of you that aren't really, I don't know if everybody's heard of the word Stripe before, so just to take it up a level. So what Mo did is, we deliver software predominantly to startups. So companies that are just getting started, we get to build them from scratch. And so Mo is working on implementing the payment processing. All right. So now, just to think about this for a second, how many interns do you know that get to work on something so critical to the client's infrastructure, right? For an actual software project? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in academia, in university. It doesn't happen at boot camps. It doesn't even happen at other tech companies, to be honest, because who's going to put their bread and butter flagship software in the hands of an untrained intern that is paid or unpaid or partially paid? They're not going to do it. You're not going to get that experience. And that's what made this experience so different for Mo, was because we actually handed him an opportunity to be responsible for it. So inside the Joy of Coding, we say guaranteed internship. It's actually on a project where 100% of the code is written by the interns. We have six-figure software developers, mentors. I know I'm going to ask Mo about this next. We have these six-figure software developers whose day job is delivering software. They get paid, hundreds of dollars an hour, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They've got tons of experience. They're the mentors. Their job is not to deliver the software. Their job is to mentor our interns and show them what the latest skills and tools are so they can solve their problems effectively. And so, Mo, I wanted to ask a little bit and dive in a little deeper. So you had the space. It took about a month because payment integration, you can't take credit cards yourself. You have to integrate with something called an API. If you've never heard of that before, no worries. It's just a means for us to access code that other people wrote. So there's some third-party website that processes the payments. We just have to hook in to their space. But because it's relating to money and credit cards, right, this is like very important in terms of security, right? You want to do it right. There's a lot that could go wrong. And so it's very unusual for someone who's just learning to have that opportunity to learn with that kind of integration. And so, Mo, I was wondering if you could speak a little bit to that process of having, we have some senior software developers on staff who serve as coaches. They're available weekly for hourly Q&As like this, where there's a dialogue to all of our students. So we have Adam, we have Kyler. Can you speak a little bit about that experience and how that helped you move forward on implementing this feature?
Sure, not a problem. In all honesty, I'm really thankful, like even just being an intern. So thank you again, Dr. Hill. I got to meet with Coach Kyler Johnson and Adam, I believe his last name is Fanslow.
Yes.
Yes, they're both amazing amazing software developers, definitely have some years under their belt now. Now being a student who's never worked, like I said earlier, back end and relatively new even to this point, I don't think I would have honestly had it without them. Like I know for sure we would have had it down, you know. It's just with Dr. Hill, you know, managing everything and having to do this, which she's doing an amazing job at that. I'm not gonna lie, it's tough. You know, it would have been definitely tough just doing it all on my own, you know, despite the fact that I could eventually figure it out. It would just, I would need the time.
Awesome, awesome. I love that. Oh, I love that. And so, and I know with the senior software developer coaches that we have, that you have access to. For instance, I remember one of the breakthroughs you were super excited about that happened about a week before we finished delivery, where you had worked with Coach Kyler and he showed you some of the industry standard tools and tricks that he uses. So, for example, as you know, intern might come into a Q&A and say, "Hey, I have this bug," and the senior developer, they probably don't know the answer, to be honest. As programmers, we get paid to learn. It's one of the awesome things about being a software developer. And so the senior developers, they probably don't know the answer either, which is cool because you know, okay, it's not just you, right? Even the senior software devs don't know right off the bat, but they have this knowledge and the framework and the process down that they would use to solve that problem. And so I remember, Mo, you had mentioned that you went in on a Wednesday and you got help from Coach Kyler, and he showed you a way to walk through a problem and find a solution. And then you said that the breakthrough was the next night when you got to apply it and solve a new bug on your own. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I remember I was working with, like I said, Coach Kyler on API calls, right, as well. And there was an issue going on where we were making the call to the API and it was succeeding, but then there was a post that we were trying to do, and the post was not actually going through. Well, it was in a sense, but what was happening is it wasn't going through in Django's liking, in Python's liking. So we had to do something called serializing it, I believe, to translate it into something that Python or Django can understand. So I remember Coach Fowler was teaching me how you, since we're dealing with JavaScript or React on the front end, we would need to turn it from JSON into something, serializing it into something that Django would understand. So the specific thing we did was JSON.stringify. So it's basically turning it from JSON into a string that then turns it into something that Django specifically understands. And then the next, that was giving me an initial, when I was working with Coach Kyler, that was giving me an initial, I believe, error 501, I believe. Yes, something like this. And the next night I got something very similar. I had I believe a 503. And when I applied the same issue, because it was telling, Django was telling me unidentified or unknown type, I was like, now I remember why this happened. And I applied that same initial info that I understood the night before to fixing it.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. And so, Mo, just for people's knowledge, had you ever heard of serializers before that moment, like before talking to Coach Kyler about it?
Honestly, I would not have known what the only cereal I know is probably the breakfast item, but
I love it. Frosted Flakes, right? I love it. So good. And so you didn't know anything about serializers. You talked to Coach Kyler, he walked you through, and the next night, literally the next night, you're using that knowledge, you're taking action on it and using it to help guide you in your process to move forward.
Yes.
Yep. Awesome. Oh, so, so good. I love it.